I'm going to be doing a little tour of Hamilton, but you guys might have been to Hamilton. We're going to go behind the scenes. So what I thought we would do is, we said we were going to talk about type today. So we're going to talk about type today. I will say that I am going to be on my phone so that we can peek through some of the cases. I'm calling it a type treasure hunt. If you start to hear some feedback, let me know. I'll take my computer with me, but it's a one-woman show today, so bear with me. We're gonna do great things. We're just gonna do it here at Hamilton instead. Jim's gonna join me when he can, so it's gonna be one woman, one dude, 6-part show. Because Jim Moran, our collections manager and master printer, is in the building. In fact, a good thing to maybe introduce us first is that our titles have changed. So I don't know if you have noticed that. When we got Peter Crabb, our executive administrative director, last year, we did some good looking about at what we all do and what we all focus at here at Hamilton. So you might have known Jim as the director, but yes, his official title is now collections officer and master printer. And my title has gone from assistant director to program officer. So now that is where we're focusing on things. So anyway, one of the things I would start off first before we actually go traversing into the type library at is I'd show you some of the type specimen books we have, because they are available in our store. And so, that's a really good way if you are spending time at home and you are, maybe you're trying to reference your type and you want to start to get the correct names on them. I know this is a great time to do that. If you want to look through and draw characters, it's a really great time to explore how characters come together. Look at those bracketed serifs, see how those strokes come together. So I just wanted to show off some of these, and I'll put a link over into the chat, because you can get them if you need to keep busy, and type is a really good way to do it. So I will be honest, I'll mute you only if it's given us feedback. But today's going to be a little more open because, like I said, it's me and Jim hanging out at the museum. So please pipe up, because I have a feeling lots of people like this book. So if you don't know it, it is American Wood Type, and it's Rob Roy Kelly, and this is the Bible on wood type. It's a great read. You know, you're at night and you need to relax and you really want to know wood type history. Just relax with American Wood Type. Ooh, thank you, Mary. That's a beautiful edition you have there. Ooh, and a side note, I'm very lucky. I have the hardbound copy that's black. I don't know what edition it is, Jim. Do you know what edition that one is? The white with the black type across the cover, the hard copy?
That is the 1906.
Yeah. So, but I found the American Wood Type for $9.96 at a used bookstore when I was in graduate school. And Paul Brown said, that price tag isn't right on that cover you have, is it? And I was like, yep, just got it at Half Price Books. And he was like, I don't like you right now. Tom Burgeon, thank you for showing your cover. How much was yours, Mary? I can't read it.
It was $5.40, I think.
That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. And yes, you guys are right. David Shields wrote the foreword to the latest edition, which I don't know when that's coming out. Chat amongst yourselves. Thank you, Amelia, for sharing that. Then these are when you need to supplement your Bible reading, your American Wood Type Bible reading. These are some of the specimens we have here at Hamilton. I'm going to start with the Hollywood type because This was the beginnings of Hamilton. So Hamilton Manufacturing Company, when they got started, was actually the Hollywood type company. And it was because they were creating, James Edward Hamilton, was creating wood type with a Hollywood veneer. So a really thin veneer, but that was the name. It had nothing to do with Hollywood in California. So this one I really love because it's got really beautiful borders. And it's got a really nice manacle. Ooh, and look at those chromatics, those streamers. That's how you get your heart pitter patter. So let's find that. There we go. I love the beautiful old school manacles, right? And this one even had German in the front. Because, right, if you had your community newspaper when this was released, then you probably needed some German headlines so that you could release it and you could do your headlines all in German. So, Jim, did you pull out the veneer type we have?
Yes.
Yep. We'll do a good test and see if we can get our video done. And we're going to flip that guy around. And we're going to, so I'm going to spotlight my video just so you guys can see. Can you hear me okay? Oh.
Yep, I can hear you.
Thank you, Selene. I have to admit, I'm a little more nervous now that I'm the one doing this.
Turn your phone sideways, Stephanie.
So, here is the veneer type we have, and it was donated by Dave Pete last year. And so this is original Hamilton type. In fact, let's even peek and see. I haven't seen this one in a while, if it's got a maker's mark at all. We're going to go through the collection a bit and look at some of the cases. And this may be pre-2. Here we go. So we can see it's Hamilton and Baker, Two Rivers, Wisconsin. Catherine, you helped this get here, right? You helped deliver it? So I'm going to go back to not spotlighting my video. Well, we can look actually, let's look at some of these books. It's a little bit easier. And then we've also got William H. Page. We've got James Connors. And some of these are actually metal type specimens. So we're not being as only wood type here. Okay. So I think it's time to go back and peek into the collection a bit. Just going to take 1 second to make sure I can hear you. Can someone chat at me so I can hear your lovely voice?
The type you're looking at,
Got clothes, mama's got these, mama's got those, but poor Papa, ain't got nothing at all. Can you hear that?
It's not coming through on my phone.
Mama eats land,
I'm gonna go.
Mama eats bread and strawberry jam, but poor Papa, can't eat nothing at all. Can you hear that?
Jim Shradden, your savior. Okay.
It's a cloudy, cold day here. I'm entertaining myself. Not that way, but by singing that way.
I love it. I see you.
Stephanie, do you have two mics on? It's kind of echoey.
Stephanie, I can't hear you at all.
I'm not hearing any sound either. Is this a silent movie or?
Still looks nice.
Yep, it's good to see it. But
Yeah, I guess we can just go on the laptop. That works. Okay. I'm gonna leave. Unmute. Hi, can you hear me?
now we
Yes,
can.
you're fine.
Yes.
Wonderful. So we're gonna go now with my computer. That works. So we were in the classroom space, but if you've never peeked behind the classroom space, that's where we're gonna go now. And that is called our type library. And I'm gonna,
Is Michaela here?
Michaela's not here, but we are gonna peek at her cases that she organized in such a beautiful manner. Is she on the call?
No, I don't know.
So I've gone through and just popped some of the cases that I want to show, but I think also just seeing the entire hallway is a ton of fun. So one of the things I love about when we go through the collection at Hamilton is that it's like a treasure hunt. Like you might have a poster laid out, or you might have a postcard laid out, and you have some idea of what size you want to have in that space. But then you have to start going through all the cases. And I will admit, Jim and I have a good memory, but maybe not a great memory. And so as we go through, right, we're always trying to think, what do we want? Where did we last see that? What's that size? And if you don't know, we have the world's largest collection of type with over 1.5 million pieces. So as we go through, we're always looking like, oh, we think a 10 line might fit, like it might be 10 picas tall. But then we also have to look at the width of the type, or maybe the width of the stroke. So is that really gonna fit on that 12-inch wide poster that I have? And so I often will have a piece of paper, so a scrap piece of paper that I've cut to my size, and that way I can start to pull out and then lay into different spaces. And I'm also gonna, I'm not gonna spotlight anymore. What do you guys think? Anybody have a feeling? Because you guys can look at whatever you want. Okay, so one of the reasons I opened up this case is it's a really nice thing to just start with some Gothic. But I also wanted to show, and Jen Ann I did see earlier on the call, but that might be a little too bright. That was by Jen Ann in September 19th of 2019. So with this giant collection that we have, we are constantly cleaning it, we're sorting it, and we are making sure that while it might not yet be organized in such a way that we have a catalog, we don't have a digital catalog of all of our type yet, we know that it's being taken care of, and we know that we can find it when we need it. So that's one of the things that I find about Hamilton. So, okay. So I just opened to this because I think when you go for a treasure type hunt, what you want to see is you just want to see some pretty stuff. And so I really love this. I think it's beautiful. It's a nice Tuscan, and it's in a couple different sizes. These are slightly different, especially when you start to look at the concave nature of the two styles. This case came to us from the UP, right, Jim? This whole cabinet, I mean.
River, Michigan.
Oh, it came from Michigan. Here's a little tip if you guys have to open your cases. You know, half of you guys already know this, but if you're newbie, we're here for you too. I want to pull this case open all the way. So I like to pull the case underneath it so that then when I pull this all the way, it has a shelf and it allows us to see further inside. So when we start to look in here, I wanted to pull this open because it's got really beautiful borders and it's got really beautiful old ornaments that are from baseball. Do you know when those are from, Jim?
About 1905.
And they're hatched. You guys have some beautiful baseball players who I think have similar stylings on, but much, much larger. Selene, I see you're seeing 1887. Thank you. Okay, so now always be careful when you go to put the case back in because you don't want your fingers to get hit by that case below. So you put that back in and then you can put the one underneath. This one I find really beautiful because it has die stamp elements on the face of the type. In fact, maybe I'll hold one up, that way we can make sure it's seen well with the light.
Nope.
Need more light.
Okay, well I can see.
Yeah, we're close enough, but the detailing is bad.
Great bandana.
Isn't he looking styling?
Dylan.
So this way we can see it by using the light a little bit, that there are screw heads that are actually on the surface of the type. And I think that's quite a nice style. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
That light. Okay, let's move a little further down. This type library. I always actually think of Eric Woods in St. Louis at Firecracker Press because you guys had type land, which I thought was a beautiful sign when we go down there. So this is like one of our dirty little secrets that I absolutely love is that we have full cases, and Jim, I know, can tell us more about it, where the previous owner just thought that all of the dollar signs, all of the commas, and all of the exclamation points should go together. Well, as you know, trying to set type, that definitely makes your job more difficult. So Jim, do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Erik Spiekermann, no, not Erik Spiekermann, Irving Silverman, probably unrelated, was a little more than an editor for Knitting Wear News in 1948 when his printer was throwing wood type out when he went to visit. And he said, "What are you doing? This stuff is so pretty." And they said, "Well, you know, the technology is changing. We really don't need wood type anymore." And he said, wait, I collect wood type. I'll take everything you've got. And so they gave him all of their wood type because they were just dumping it into the trash. So Irving, not being a printer, kept buying this type merely because he thought it was pretty. And so he brought it up to his summer home in Maine and built a shed to put it in. And well, you know, this was basically a few shops in Brooklyn, but then he moved on to Queens and then Manhattan and then to New York in general and then to New York State and then to New England. So he kept adding pole barns and sheds. And so he figured that if you came to his place and wanted to buy type, of course, you would be looking for your initials. So in my case, why wouldn't I want all the J's in one drawer and all the M's in another drawer? As awful as that is to sort out, the punctuation is truly the worst. Having a drawer full of nothing more than colons and semicolons and whatnot, well, we can see we haven't made a lot of progress.
Oh my God.
Oh, geez.
Who wants to come be an intern?
Me.
So yeah, we've got a little work ahead of us.
We've got a lot of work ahead of us.
Drop it off at my house, Stephanie. I'll do it. Just drop it off.
That's true.
Ah,
You have the most amazing-
Hola, buenas tardes. Yo quería también hacer una consulta si para hacer un pedido de autónomo, de profesional, ¿solo es para profesionales de construcción o para cualquier profesional?
We might need a translation for that. I'm not real good. Sorry.
Sí.
I know Meredith wasn't going to be on the call today. Can anyone translate for us?
Sí.
Well, we apologize. We don't have a translator.
Vale.
Can you repeat it again? I'll give it a shot.
Good. I'll move down.
La Laguna.
Or maybe in
Vale.
the... Oh, it's a phone call. So
Vale. Y sería hacer una compra normal, que decir, se entra en la tienda, se elige el producto y se va a la caja.
Oh, my Spanish is too rusty. Lo siento.
Vale.
Pero mi español es un poco, es horrible ahora.
Vale.
Y entonces no puedo
Gracias.
entenderte.
That'll be the next thing we'll have to arrange for these.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to go more international.
Oh, yes. Henry might be.
So I could speak French. If he could say it in French, maybe I can translate it.
In how many ways can we get there? It's a little dark in this corner. I might actually pull this case out and hold it up. What I want to, Jim will pull it out. The one underneath is halfway out, just so you know. This one I love because it's got tiny type. So it's got two different 3 lines. One is a poster graphic and one is like a Clarendon. And I have a love affair with tiny wood type. I think it's the best thing in the whole world.
Oh, I know.
We do have 1 2-line here at Hamilton. It's quite ornate. But we have quite a bit of 3-line, which has been a nice surprise. I opened up those 2 down below because that one has
An outline Tuscan.
Wow. Look at that.
You guys see that? So it's quite dark, but it's got a really nice outline, fine outline on it. Okay.
Who's the one on the top left?
Top left on that one. I'm pulling that one out again.
What is it?
Yeah.
It looks as though it is a Divini.
Okay.
This one, I don't think we have the, we've got the stroke, we've got the outline, but we don't have the fill.
Wow.
At least with it, but we do have lots of others where we have this style with both the stroke outline, so it's a chromatic, and they would overlap with just a small amount of trapping,
Right.
so that you could have both the inside stroke and the fill inside. I
Mine
heard
is really good in the
classroom press room or staff press room. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will peek at Michaela's work real quick before we leave the type library, and then I think we'll go into the staff press room, peek at a couple, and then we'll just chat. I think that's a good way to do it. Jesus. Woo! Yeah, do you love all our cabinets? So, you guys all know Michaela. She is one of our wonderful volunteers in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. We miss her and Sally and Larry and all of you dearly. Michaela came to the museum, and Jim, you worked with her on this project quite a bit, right?
Right. The thing of it is, we began with known cases. In other words, the drawer would indicate what was in it. But since she did so well on it, I said, okay, now pull out the Mac McGrew book and let's see you identify everything, which of course made her project a lot more difficult, right? Because she no longer had anything to go by than her own knowledge of type. And, you know, because she was relatively new to it, I didn't know how quickly that would go along, but it's gone along great. And that she loves identifying types is hugely beneficial to us. But, you know, when you look at a finished case that she's worked on and how much nicer that is than those that are either random or poorly identified, it's heaven.
A lot of these older ones have worn out over time, and so that's been tough for us to use.
That's true.
So it's really changed.
This one, for example, I did in high school, so it's a little bit worn.
So was that your grandfathers and fathers from your print shop?
Right.
That's amazing. Cool. Well, we'll get the Michaela treatment on it soon. Awesome. Okay. So this is more of our type library. So it's like 2 long hallways. And this is the type that we will often use when we have jobs that come up that are specifically commissioned, that people need specific type for.
Yeah, it's about 60 cabinets.
Great. Okay, let's go to the staff press room.
All right.
And then we'll settle in. We have a very sunny day here at Two Rivers, Wisconsin. It's finally warming up. So hopefully you guys are having good weather where you're at as well. So what we're doing is we're walking through, this is where we have Waze Goose. So we miss all of our Waze geese. We can't wait to see you. We're making plans for November currently to see how much of it will be on site in person and how much of it will be digital. Okay, so now we're going into our staff press room, and the reason why it has better light, some of it might be a bit bright, is because we have skylights in here. So this is our staff press room, and this is where we go when we specifically work on projects. Like we printed field notes in here. We had to do 75,000 copies. Any projects that we get commissioned to do, we do in here. And it also means that there's type that you can't see in other parts of the museum because they either are too brittle, too frail, or they can't be on display currently. So we have more of those baseball players.
ED. Wow.
Yeah, some really interesting ligatures, some pointers, some calendar type, some black letter.
A flag with 49 stars.
Whoa.
That was only a 6-month window until Oklahoma was the last state. What was added, like New Mexico after that? Something like that.
Ooh, Jim's pulling out the big guns here.
Darius Wells hand cut type,
See,
1845, something like that.
I'm gonna hold up a piece because I think we might have a similar issue of the light.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. Who wants shout out a letter?
Jay.
Okay. Mr. Jim Moran. Well, it's going to be the one we don't have. Here we go.
Ooh. Show us your cue.
Ooh, and you know that's going to be in good shape.
I'm glad you have it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Woo.
Is there an ampersand?
Oh, yes. Glad you asked.
No, yes. Hiding on a different line.
Yeah, just.
This is like letterpress Go Fish.
Okay. We also in here have brand new type styles as well. So the type legacy project that we work on, so Erik Spiekermann has designed arts for us, and we've got Brilski. We've got a lot of those styles in here, and we're working with George Leash, who's our type cutter, to also get those in the classroom so that when you come to Hamilton, you can work with all the type legacy. Jim pulled out.
That is a decorative.
Pew pew. Which I think is apropos since Richard and James couldn't be here from P22.
That's true. It's called Americana.
Yep. And this was the first one we released, wasn't it? When we partnered with them?
Right.
So they are our partners in digital type. And so here's a nice A. So there are digitals in the digital, or there are partners in the digital type making that we do, because we don't have those skills here on site at Hamilton, but they do. And so they have been collecting prints and specimens and doing their own printing and getting specimens so that you can actually use this type both through the Adobe program. You can get it at P22. Thank you, Amelia, for putting that link in the chat. And then we have either the originals, or if it's a brand new design like arts, then we cut it here at the museum. Okay, I think it's time to chat.
All right, you want to show them some very nice 1899 inland?
Yeah, of course I do. Do you want to talk about that collection a little bit, Jim?
Sure.
Jim just used this on the latest print that he did here at Hamilton. Do you have that print back here? You can set up a space where you can both sit. Ooh.
So not much of it, just enough to basically use that 0 as a imitation globe for an Earth Day poster. But the collection that this came out of, you could call the Wendell Collection. It's a new bunch of type. Do you want to come over there and we can talk a little bit about it? Wendell?
Yes.
So a few, I don't think you can call these cabinets, a few supports for cabinets. I guess that one is real, but anyway, Chuck Wendell, a longtime APA member, passed away last year, and sadly, as is often the case, the partner, the spouse, had the job of getting rid of the collection or selling the collection. In this case, Chuck's wife knew the type really, really well. But anyway, we were made aware of it by John Horn, who also made sure that it came here. So we're pretty grateful to that. It seems to me that the annotations on the type is relatively accurate. In November, December, I don't know, it was snowing. Jim Sherrod and I went down to Amana, Iowa, and packed it all up and turned around and came back, which was fun. Anyway, what is really nice about it is you have things, for example, that would say 30-line Gothic number 81, Hamilton's make from 1891. And down here there is 6-line modified Gothic XX condensed. That was a Tubbs font from 1903. Here below it is a 20-line Tuscan Gothic, just the A through W, but that is a William Page from 1875. We will probably need to go over those notes just to make sure they're accurate, but still it's wonderful to have such a variety of faces. And like Steph was saying earlier, the small faces are really wonderful. And I think I've got one that I can pull off for you. So, Steph, I will make you read whatever it says on the front of it first.
Okay, so let's see, there we go. We've got the tiny one in there is a 3-line Colombian Roman. We've got caps and lowercase, page 1879.
Mm-hmm.
We've also got a couple 4 lines. We've got a Gothic from Hamilton 1891 and a Gothic condensed from, again, Hamilton 1891.
It is a nice collection. This is the only true cabinet that came with this batch, and initially I thought it'll be easy to get these back together again because they're all numbered with this great orange tape. Until you realize that there's orange tape on every damn one of them, put in different places, and well, we did a fair job. I'll go that far.
So you had a helper on that trip.
You mean Jim coming with me to Iowa? Yes, he was helpful. I needed somebody.
Is it possible to say back to her, hey, Mom?
So Jim Sheridan went on that trip and helped get this collection.
Nesbitt, really early type cutter. This is an 1850 cutting. It is in very good shape. It's also really well done. And I have not used it yet, but this collection is generally in very good condition, I would say. So we'll sort of slowly work our way through it, but the notations are such a great jumping off point in terms of getting us started to catalog it really well. So we're just in the beginning of doing that. I think there was one other one that what the heck was that? Higher. What's the name of the face? I'll grab a poster.
Okay.
But you can drop this great looking Sarah.
And this was the first type that you printed from the collection, correct, Jim?
It was.
He fell in love with those serifs, and he couldn't not. Some of the strokes, like on the E. Look at that. Ooh, and that A. How can you not?
What is the name of that face again?
That's Higher, which is Heyer. And that's a Hamilton 1891.
Nice.
No, I like it. No, the chestnut.
This is lovely work.
Well, it's got an error in it, and extra points for whoever notices what the error is, I guess.
The apostrophe.
Oh, and it's.
Okay, you win. I think maybe more interesting than the error are characters like the K in rocks. That G is quite nice, and even looking at the EA combination is kind of interesting with the angled E and a slightly different styling to the A. But in the end, it is Hamilton's number 891. While it was called Higher in the case, we aren't really sure why, because when you look back at Carl or Charles Higher, He worked for the Boston Type Foundry. He worked for Barnhart Brothers and Spindler. He designed maybe 15 or more faces. There is no mention of this being called after him, but since that is the case, we now have. So you're looking at higher.
Great. Do you want to hop on your computer? And that way, or do you want to hop in front of here and we can stay 6 feet apart and just chat with people for a bit?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Tom Walker, don't be giving us trouble. Okay, we could pop this here. And do you want that stool or are you good?
I'm good.
Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna unpin us. I am gonna put this as a big, nice screen.
Whoa.
I know, right?
All right.
So we've got 52 people on the call, and sometimes it's tough with this many people, but it's a really great time, I think, to chat. Meaning, if you want to unmute and you want to ask a question, and it doesn't have to be for Jim and me, this is a good time to relax. You know, we've got some time, and if you want to ask any questions about the type we looked at, or about what we're doing at Hamilton, or if you just haven't seen Eric Woodson forever and you want to be like, what you doing, dude? That works too. So anyway, if there's lots of crazy noise, I'll mute, but for the most part, yeah. What are you guys up to?
I have a question for Jim.
Is that Eric?
That's Eric.
Hey.
Yes. Jim, has anybody ever called you Jimmy?
Yeah. Older relatives still do.
Yeah.
Let's see. And maybe once in a while, Jim Sheridan, if he needs to get my attention. Otherwise,
yeah,
pretty much no.
No. Does that make you angry if somebody calls you Jimmy? I mean, is that kind of like is that offensive or?
Oh no, with a name like Moran, I could be called a lot worse.
Well, I'm here today to try to get a campaign to get you to switch your personal Instagram handle from Jim on the Press to Jimmy on the Press.
Ah, well.
I don't know why. Every time it comes through my feed, which is the way we communicate these days, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it would it would just be more active. And I can imagine you moving around in the shop and doing things if it was Jimmy on the Press. It seems kind of like
Johnny on the spot.
Yeah, sort of like Johnny on the spot.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, it sounds like Johnny on the spot.
You know, for you, Eric, I will do that. How about that?
Well, right. my mission is accomplished and my day is complete.
All right. Now, a question for you.
Yes.
I didn't know if you were aware that Hamilton APHA had a call out for this year's Ways Goose.
I might have known something about that, but yeah.
Well, I would like you to give me an edited version of what you did with the library in town, because I thought that was one hell of a nice program.
Okay. I can do that. That seems like a fair trade. If you change your Instagram handle, I'll put together a proposal.
Do you mind just telling the group here what you did?
Yeah, I can be as brief as possible. About a year ago, actually, we moved our entire shop into what's known as the Great Hall of the Central Library at St. Louis Public Library. It's downtown St. Louis, Missouri. And we operated the Firecracker Press out of the library location. It turned out to be about 9 weeks. So we moved presses and type, we moved my design office, we moved the phone, the computer, and they sort of set us up in this nice little corner. It's a beautiful building, part of the Carnegie money that went across the nation, I believe, and and built all kinds of libraries. And so that was part of that. And we worked there on regular jobs throughout the day. And we're sort of fish in a fish tank, so to speak, as people came into the library and asked us questions. We had Saturday workshops where people could get interactive. And it was part of a larger exhibition about printing, about the technology of printing, how things started and how things have changed. So there was a large timeline, and we were just a little part of that. So a lot of fun. I can't say enough good things about the St. Louis Public Library.
Well, it just struck me as such a wonderful collaboration. I realize that in a lot of cases when we are printing, we are working to some extent in abstraction, but the idea that you get a chance to promote literacy and sort of indicate the methods that people learned to read, I think is a really great thing, because you know, it's also healthy for both you and the library, because the library gets to show off how things are made that they, you know, like to utilize. And we all need broader audiences than we have. And so I think for people to learn about you and realize that in many ways you are about communication as much as they are is such a great thing. I just thought it was a grand project.
Well, they used to have a print shop there in the library, and they definitely had a very active bindery, because if people are taking books away, they're coming back damaged, they need a, you know, they have to repair those. And I found all this out through hanging out at the library, you know, like that's one of the perks of working in the library, is taking your lunch hour and going and learning just more history about St. Louis and the library in general. But the best question we got from people coming in by far, and this would happen pretty regularly, is once we'd go through our sort of educational spiel, they would say, okay, now where's this work really being done? You know, they were looking for the digital printer or the thing, the photocopier that was hiding in the background, and always like, no, these presses, this type, we're doing it right here. That took some convincing from people, for sure.
Yeah, interesting. Well, you know, you get so far removed from things, right? It's like thinking milk does not come from cows, it comes from the grocery store, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Where's the button that you push to make things go? It's right here.
Yeah, we're the printers. That's the press.
Yeah,
exactly. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, thank you for your question. I'd be happy to put something together for you guys.
That would be wonderful.
Someone did ask when our new date for P22 will be, and we don't know yet, but we'll announce it. We'll spread it far and wide. I saw some people in Australia who wanted to join, so maybe we'll peek at the time zones and see if we can make it work for Australia.
Sure. We should ask Clint Harvey what is the best time of day. I know that he is on the eastern end of Australia, but it would be good to learn, you know, if we need to start at 9 in the morning or something like that. I'm sure for our friends in Europe, the earlier in the day, the better.
10 a.m. Central Time, or about the same 10 p.m. Is pretty good overlap for morning and evening for Australia.
Great. Well, morning would be good then, because then we could catch folks from Europe and that area as well.
We are. It's a perspective. Jim Sheridan doesn't think we're 6 feet apart. It's a perspective thing. We are.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, he's looking at a curved lens. Better. Are there any other questions?
Radden, before you guys go, can you walk the computer to the smoking door, and so we can all see the view that we miss, you know, the ocean?
We can do that. Maybe I'll start a ham hang on the beach and just be.
There you go. That would be good.
Yeah, we can do a little walkthrough. I want to say thank you to everyone who rolled with our punches. Yeah, when you're the one wielding a computer and an iPhone to try and show things off, you get real nervous. When I'm just sitting at home doing this, it's easy peasy. Ooh, the Mexican chromatic. We can do that. I don't think we have the key. So this might got a little bit of a glare on it.
If you start walking that way, I'll see if I can get the key before you get there.
That sounds good. I'll go out the smoking door.
You
So
could go out the main door.
that's true. So here we'll peek out the door, one of the doors. So if you don't know, the museum looks out over Lake Michigan pretty much. And so when we go outside our doors, we get a beautiful view, we get the breeze, and we get to hear the lake, which is really amazing. In fact, I will put a video on our Instagram because I was just out there last night. This is also a dark museum, which makes lots of creepy noises.
I got the key.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, he got the key, so we'll look at a lake. I can still hear you also. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But
Nice.
okay, so that's our view. There's a lake, a great lake over there, we promise. There is also a beautiful path and a beach. So when you guys join us, you can go walk along our beaches.
We lost you for a while there, Steph.
You probably lost the beach. That's the whole thing we went out there.
Yes. Exactly.
I'll post on Instagram and Facebook, and then you guys can Oh, this is why we're Luddites. Jim's up the ante, so that we'll be safe.
Steph?
Yes. Can you still hear me? Okay.
All right. This should work.
Here's Mexican, which is
Oh, there's a guy.
It's the beard club. You guys, are you gonna start braiding them?
Maybe we could braid them together.
Oh.
I don't know.
There's the Mexican. Hey, Stephanie, I translated Lars's question.
What was it?
He wanted to know how the type was sold in terms of the font, that's the actual definition of what a font is, instead of type, and whether the punctuation was sold separately from the letters and or the figures. Were those also sold separately from the letters, and how were those fonted and sold historically, and maybe is that the reason why the punctuation is separate?
Nicely done.
Yeah.
So the type is sold by the piece. As you know, there was the 3A, the 5, all the way up to 11A sets. And they did allow people to purchase a partial. In other words, you could buy type without punctuation or characters. But they typically sold it as a 3A set is a 75 character set, meaning that you did get numbers, you got punctuation, and then of course you get the figures themselves. But typically, when you look at the specimen books, they are giving you a price per piece.
Right, but yeah. So, and they also don't they also put the schemes in the front? So, like if you looked at the front of the catalog, sometimes they have the schemes of what would be included in a 3A font.
Oh,
versus the 4A versus a 5A.
All the way down, I can grab it.
The catalog.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
that's how Sky Shipley sells his metal type.
Mm-hmm.
from Skyline. And I've seen price. I think I've price listed in one of my old specimen books.
He's grabbing the facsimile we have of the Hamilton specimen book.
Yeah.
Go under the light.
Go to the light, Steph. Go to the light. Sorry.
Oh, dark reasons. What fun.
You may need to take this because I don't want to get too close.
Sounds good. I'm going to set this guy down then. Hi, guys. Let's see. Let's find a platen press. Thank you guys for rolling with us. We appreciate it. So yeah, you're talking about the font scheme or the scale of fonts. So
yeah.
And there's your scale of fonts.
And so you can see at the bottom how some of the font schemes don't have parts. I think.
Yes. Let's go bigger. Pin. There we go. That way I can see a little better. Yeah, it's a little fuzzy there. Well, you'll just have to buy the book.
Oh, it's a beautiful. They're all beautiful books, I think. And you guys, Dave Pete made those books, or a lot of those books, and I don't think he's making them anymore.
It's Rich Hopkins, but him and Dave Pete work together.
Yeah.
Because they would use their various specimen books to take apart and make the one.
Yeah. They're beautiful. So if you don't have them, buy them.
Pioneer Press place, but you know, between Dave, probably Greg Walters, Churchman, you know, whoever they knew who had specimen books and was willing to lend pages to be scanned.
Yeah.
And to get it straight from the book, because it might have been hard to read, so you had to always tell them if you wanted caps, or if you wanted lowercase, if you wanted figures, and then, so it didn't have scaled out the punctuation, but it specifically did have caps, lowercase, and figures. But you could order whatever you needed. So if you needed extra punctuation, you could get it.
You could add it by the piece.
Yeah, you could add it. Yeah. On the other page was the scale of German fonts, which we started. See, that's how we loop it all around. That's our callback for the day. Any comedians out there?
Steph, can we see the cover of that one again?
Yes. So this is the Hamilton one. It's a little dark in here. But this is the Hollywood type one.
1884.
1884. I'll put that link over there. I love this one quite a bit because it's got the Hamilton numbers in it.
Yes.
Which I like. Ooh, thanks for sharing that scale of fonts. Okay, I'll grab that link to that book if anybody wants it. Hey, look at that, 159. Ooh, and there's another good one that's a Hollywood that I didn't grab earlier that John Horn did. So I will also share that. Okay, that's what I showed.
Hey, Steph, speaking of books.
Yes.
What's the latest news on the Hammett 20 books?
The Hammett 20 book is being designed by Mr. Nick Larson. Nope, I'm sorry. Hammett 20 and New Impressions. I just got my wires crossed. So Hammett 20 is designed by Jen Farrell, who did the whole Hammett 20 project, and it is getting ordered tomorrow, and the portfolios are getting together. We shifted for a bit, and we apologize. So
no, totally understandable. Was just curious. So thank you.
Yes, of course. Kind of dark, but yeah.
All right.
We've hit the 2 o'clock mark, and I know everyone right now has about 18 other meetings they probably have to go to at this point in the week. So we want to say thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for rolling with the punches. We're glad we could show you around, and if we get some things figured out, maybe we'll do more of these so we can show you what we got, but we'll get our Luddite ways cleaned up. So thanks, Stephanie.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.